Well, good morning. My name is Jessica, one of the pastors at Twin Lakes, and as always, it's great to join you for today's video Devo. If you have tuned in to the last few Devos or you were at the weekend service, then you have heard the same three words repeated a fair amount, and you're probably wondering, or maybe you already know, what is this all about? And those three words are be, belong, become. And that's the short version of the new ministry framework we have for our life development team here at Twin Lakes. And just a reminder that life development is birth. It's really the nursery, the birth, but more with this framework we start in preschool all the way through the college young adult group. So it's a huge span of ages, and that those ministries at the church, we have stuff going on all the time. But we, as life development, we came together and we created this framework, be, belong, become. And that's the short version. And the longer version is be with Jesus, belong to a community of believers, and become like him in what you say and what you do. And although this be, belong, become is targeted at our students and our children, right? Like we're using this in our life development ministries, it really is for all of us, right? Like I need a reminder to be with Jesus. It's not always my go-to to spend that time. I need a reminder that I belong to this community, right? And this community, it's not just here and now at Twin Lakes. It's a community that spans all around the globe, right? Like when I've gone to Africa and I've gone to India, I have something in common with believers there because we follow Jesus. And this community too, it stretches across time, and it's been going since Jesus was around with the first disciples. We belong to this ongoing community of believers, which is really cool to think about. And the last one is become like him, right? And as we grow in our faith, we become more like Jesus in what we say and what we do. Recently, I read this book. It's called The 3 Big Questions That Change Every Teenager, and it's by a woman named Kara Powell, who works down at the Fuller Youth Institute in Southern California. Now, the Fuller Youth Institute, they do a lot of research and study on the formation of faith and how kids develop faith and if it lasts into adulthood. So it's really important to listen to what they're saying, because we want to know here at Twin Lakes, are we doing kind of the best practices when it comes to spiritual development for our students? And in that book, she talks about 3 questions, and those 3 questions are, who am I, where do I fit, and what am I supposed to do, right? And really that boils down to identity, purpose, and belonging, or identity, belonging, and purpose, right? And it's not just adolescents that have to answer these questions. Like if you think back to your young adult life or maybe your teenage life, you were asking those same questions too, right? Who am I? Where do I fit in? And what am I supposed to do? And Powell says in her book that teenagers today, they feel really adrift in answering these questions. They feel like the message that they're getting is that they have this inner self they're supposed to discover and share with the world, that they have to find where they fit, and they have to find their purpose. And there isn't really anyone guiding them along the way on this process. And in previous generations, young people would look to older people. And so in launching this Be, Belong, Become framework, our life development team, our staff, our volunteers, we deeply desire to walk with our kids, our students here at Twin Lakes as they grow to develop an identity deeply rooted in Christ. Like when they spend time with Jesus, that first part of being with Jesus, we want them to know who Jesus sees them. Like, how does God see us? How does Jesus see us? And that's as his beloved children, right? Like, you are a beloved child of God. And second is belonging. We want them to know that they belong to this community of believers. We want them to know that they are known, loved, and we want them to be connected to others here. And that through this time spent with Jesus and through a connected community, we grow to become more like Jesus, and we grow to do the good things God has planned for us to do. You know, Ephesians 2:10 says this, "For we are God's workmanship," or masterpiece. He's created us anew in Christ Jesus so we can do the good things he planned for us long ago. And I love that verse. It reminds me, hey, I'm not a mistake. I'm God's masterpiece, and so are you, and so are these kids that we work with. And that God has good things for each of us to do, and he planned these things for us according to how he created us and how we're gifted. And so, you know, this Be, Belong, Become, it's not successive. It's not like 3 steps and then you're done. It's kind of this ongoing process. You spend time with Jesus, you belong to a community, you become more like him. You spend time with Jesus, you belong to a community, you become more like him. They're all interconnected and interwoven. So today, just think about, what do you need today? Do you need some time to be with Jesus? Then after this Devo, pray a little bit, spend some time reading the Bible. Are you feeling isolated? Do you need connection? Reach out to a friend, a fellow believer who will remind you who you are in Christ and that you are not alone. And also just a reminder that you are growing more like Christ in what you say and what you do. Every time you're with him, every time you're with a community of believers, as you grow in your faith, you grow to reflect him. And also just remember, you are God's masterpiece and he has good things for you to do. I hope you have a great day.